Now, thanks for coming back. And, let's start right there. You made that call to Fox co-chairman Lachlan Murdoch. What did you tell him?
Well, I mean, listen, I what to do because I wasn't sure what the truth was about Roger.
You knew what he did to you.
Exactly. And that's one of the bizarre things about the story is that I knew my own experience, but he and I had gone on to have 9 years of a healthy working relationship. And so in my mind, I had attributed it to he was interested in me. He was having a marital difficulty. Perhaps he was just interested in having an extramarital affair. And I didn't know.
And he was explicit about that?
As explicit as you could be. I mean, it was very on the nose. And then it culminated in a physical attempt to be with me, which I rejected in his office. And then I contacted a lawyer. He tried to kiss me 3 times. So I rejected that. And when I rejected that, he asked me when my contract was up. As soon as I left his office, I called a lawyer, and I did bring the matter to a supervisor at Fox News.
Years ago.
Years ago when it happened to me. And that person vouched for Roger's character, assured me that he was a good man, that he was likely just smitten, and that I should try to avoid him, which is what I did.
As you know, Roger Ailes put out a statement through his attorney. It states, quote, "I categorically deny the allegations Megyn Kelly makes about me. I worked tirelessly to promote and advance her career. As Megyn herself admitted to Charlie Rose, watch that interview and decide for yourself." I want to show, this is what he was referring to on Charlie Rose.
I really care about Roger, and he's been nothing but good to me, and he's been very loyal, and he's had my back.
So how do you square that with what you're writing now?
Well, both things can be true. I mean, a woman can be harassed and then go on to have a good working relationship with the man harassing her, and that is what happened in my case. I avoided Roger for 6 months after my supervisor suggested that was the proper course to pursue. And sure enough, he stopped. And I was down in the D.C. Bureau when this was happening to me. He was up in New York. This is all laid out in the book in great detail. But he stopped and we went on to have a relationship. And what he said about promoting me and having my back over the next several years is true. And it was one of the reasons why even I found it hard to believe that he was a serial harasser, George, when the lawsuit broke and then women started coming forward anonymously. But it soon became clear to me upon reading the allegations that at least an investigation was necessary.
So did any part of you think, looking back, you should have come out earlier publicly?
Listen, it's hard to say no to that because I now know the number of women who were targeted, and it's disturbing. But realistically, and this is one of the reasons I wrote about this in the book, realistically, that would have been a suicide mission for me in my career because I'd been at the company for 12 months when he was doing this to me. I wasn't Megyn Kelly of today. I had no power. And he was on the cover of industry magazines as the most powerful man in news. There was no one to go to. You know, if I had gone to the general counsel of the company, it would have been me, first-year person, against the CEO of the company.
So it leads to a tough question for Fox News as well. If Gretchen Carlson hadn't sued, would Roger Ailes still be the chairman of Fox News?
I think so. I think so. I mean, because we all had arbitration clauses in our deals, which prevented us from filing public lawsuits, which is why Gretchen filing it publicly was a big deal and was an important step in this whole process. But I'll tell you, I mean, what I wanted was for it to be an open and honest investigation into him. That's all I really wanted, because I didn't know whether it was just me, just Gretchen, is this a serial problem or not? And that's why I called Lachlan Murdoch, to tell him, you know, it didn't bring me any joy, but just to tell him that this did happen to me 10 years earlier, and that they needed to take a hard look at who they had running the company. And within days, they had announced that they had hired Paul Weiss, and I cooperated with that investigation, and I think it wound up as it should have.
Let's talk a little bit more about Donald Trump. Take us inside that meeting where you guys basically tried to bury the hatchet. What did you say? What did you do?
The actual meeting was off the record, so I don't want to get into the specific content, but I went over there, I walked in, and he gave me a nice greeting. He hugged me.
He hugged you?
Yes, which
How did you accept that?
Well, I talk about it in the book, that it was bizarre, right, to be hugging this man who had tried to torment me for 9 months and who had endangered my security and all sorts of things that are detailed in the book. But I accepted it for the gesture it was, which I think was a goodwill gesture, to try to say, if not, I'm sorry, then let's move on, which is what I was doing there. So I neither apologized to him, nor did he apologize to me. And after that meeting, which was very cordial, we discussed the state of the race. We did not discuss his 9-month campaign against me. We tabled that. But it just was a reset of sorts that worked for us.
You also had a tough conversation with your daughter Yardley. She said she was afraid of him.
So she's a recurring character in this book, as are all three of my children. But Yardley is amazing. And I talk about how a year ago, after I went to the Fortune Most Powerful Women's Conference, she said, "What is that?" I said, "Well, it's a gathering of really strong women who celebrate their accomplishments." And I was taking Yardley down there with me. And she said, "Are we two of them?" And then not quite a year later, she joined me at the presidential debate in Detroit, and that's when she told me she was afraid of Donald Trump. I had never revealed to her any of the things that Trump had done, President-elect Trump had done. But she is 5, and she hears things in this world, and one of the lowest points was when she came home and asked me what a bimbo was. And I just thought, you know, the same girl who thought she was being honored at the Most Powerful Women's Conference had learned a new word, which was one of the low points of the year.
I'll bet it was. So what's next for you? Publicly, everyone knows your contract is up next year. Can you stay at Fox after all this?
Oh, sure. I mean, I can easily stay at Fox. I can go, hopefully, anywhere I want. I don't think anything that's happened this past year has limited that. I think Trump and I are, President-elect Trump, we're all getting used to saying that, are on better terms. And so I think he and I will be fine. And listen, I'm very grateful that Fox News has given me the 12 years I've had there and that they want me to stay. And in my opinion, the Murdochs who are running Fox News Channel now are honorable men who want to do what's right and have a great vision for Fox News.
Do you want to stay?
Well, I'm figuring that out, right? I mean, it's not really appropriate to discuss here with you, George. I'm on Good Morning America.
Ask.
But I'm figuring that out. You know, okay. As much as I love my job, I love those 3 little lives that my husband and I have brought into the world. And, I mean, this is my philosophy that I need to settle for more. So I'm going to do that.
And that's the name of the book. Megyn Kelly, thanks for coming in. Michael, what's coming up on the big board?
All right, George, coming up on our big board.